Hello again, YouTube, Facebook. Welcome to part 4 of how to draw a comic strip or cartoon strip. And basically we're just continuing where we left off from part 3. I've got the same document in front of me that we were working on in Adobe Photoshop. I'm not 100% happy with the image that I have in front of me to put into a template, so we're going to work on that a little bit now. And the first thing is I'm not quite happy with the placement of the text up here. What I'm going to do is just use my, I don't even know what you call this thing. It indicates what color you're using. So you click on the screen and it'll give you the black or the color that you're clicking on. So I want to make sure it's white. I want to just get my brush here and move some of these lines that are in the way. I can always put something in a little bit later on, get that out of the way. I just want to grab my rectangle marquee tool, highlight this little area here that she's got the text, and if there's nothing in the way, this is quite easy to do. So just highlight my text, edit, cut, edit, paste. Okay, so I've created a second layer where I can now click my move tool and move that around and put it wherever I want to put it. So I'm a bit happier with it about there. Okay, I can go back to my first layer, choose my paint bucket here and just fill that area in. And because I've got two layers, I can still move, because I've got two layers, I can still select layer 1 and still move this around the screen, but I'm pretty happy with it there. And when you're happy with the placement and you don't want to be working with your two layers, you can just go layer, flatten image, and that'll bring it back down to one layer again. So there we go. Now what I want to do, I can see a bubble here, it's not white inside, so I just want to grab my zoom tool, left click, and that'll zoom me right in on where I need to work. Click on my paint tool. I can see that brush is a little bit big, so I'll go up here to brush and choose size 19 at the moment, so maybe a 13 would be better. There we go. And I can just fill in the middle of that circle, right click on zoom, right click on the screen, fit to screen, and there we go. I've got a normal looking bubble again. Now remember, in part 1 of the tutorial I did touch on this part of the drawing here. So here's the water line which is crossing over the plant. And I said rather than getting a rubber, it's easier to fix this up afterwards. So with our digital image we can click on the paintbrush and we can just left click and just go over that like we would with a rubber. Right click on magnifying glass, fit to screen, and there we go. That line now doesn't go through the plant anymore. Okay, so you can probably start to see now why I prefer to use Illustrator and Photoshop to do my inking, because it's a lot easier. Here's the bubble. It's a bit awkward, so let's fix that up. Fit to screen. Here's this bit of the light here is a little bit weird, so we'll just get rid of that and make that just a straight beam. Underneath the fish here. Okay, I'm not really happy with how he's looking because he's a little bit he's a bit mishmashed, so it's the best word I can find at the moment. So let's use a paint tool, choose that color. I'm going to choose a smaller brush size because he's a bit smaller, this fish, so probably a 5. And we'll just finish off some of these lines that haven't quite been finished, just to give him a little bit more shape. Okay, and I might want to go back to the white and just clean up his eyes a little bit. So you can see there's a bit there. I want to make sure that eye is round. I want to just get in there, and there we go. So he's a lot, his shape is a lot better. And this fin here, I can see a line that I don't want. So let's just use the paintbrush tool again and get rid of that. And that. Okay. So at the moment I'm happy with him. I want to choose my paint tool, choose the back, and I do this all the time because if you just choose the standard black that Photoshop will give you if you choose the black here, sometimes it's a little bit blacker than what Illustrator or the scan has produced, and you can actually see the line or see the black that you put in. So I do tend to use this tool to choose the exact same color. And what I'm going to do here is just join up this seabed a little bit more, because at the moment it's a little bit jagged. So I'm just going to join these lines up. And this would be very important if you were adding color, because you don't want any leakage when you're using the paint bucket tool. But for now, I'm pretty happy with that. Right click on the zoom tool, left click on the zoom tool, right click on the screen, fit to screen, and you can see that I've got a better looking image. The fish looks more like a fish. I've got, that looks more like a bubble. There's another black bubble here that we could probably do something with. Just add a little bit of white in there. The only thing I'm not happy with is his eyes. The white that I've added is too big. You can see that they look a bit weird. So I'm going to go back to here, add a little bit more black. I might make his eyeballs a little bit bigger. And I'm doing all of this with a mouse until I get my tablet, which will make things a lot easier. There we go. Left click on zoom, fit on the screen. There we go. I'm much more happy with how his eyes look from a distance now. I'm happy with the light coming through the water, happy with the garden bed, happy with his shading. This bubble here is a little bit mip, so we could do something with that. Let's choose... I could just get rid of this bubble altogether if I wanted, or just take a bit out, paint tool, there we go, choose that color, brush, and join that up. And granted that is not a very round circle, but from a distance it looks alright, and bubbles can be all different shapes and sizes, so that'll do. That bubble there is not looking good. It's got a black line in the middle. And that's how I tend to work when I'm working on I tend to zoom in on the area that I'm using, especially when I'm using a mouse, because I've got a lot more control over the picture when a mouse is involved versus trying to do it from a distance. Let me give you an example of that. If I choose the paint bucket, you cannot, my paint brush at the moment is a 5. I cannot see, it's very hard to see. At the moment I've got it hovering over the nose of the shark. Let me draw a line, but it's very hard to see where that is. Okay, so that's why I zoom in all the time to do all those different details. Okay, so I'm happy with my image now. I want to make sure that I save that, so file save. Okay, and there we go, I've got a final image. If I use my rectangle marquee tool, I can highlight all of that, edit, copy. Right, so I've copied. What I've done now is I've highlighted this image. Anything within these dotted pixelated lines is now highlighted. I've gone up to edit and I've chose copy. Okay, and what I prefer to do is work off templates which I've already made up. So depending on the strip that I'm doing with it, it's a 1 panel, 2, 5, 6 panel strip, I'll have those templates already ready. So I'm going to go File, Open, into Fins folder, and down the bottom here you can see that I've got master templates for all of the different strips that I do. So this for example is a 1 panel strip. This one here, it's a PSD file, and PSD files allow you to save your work with multiple layers. Okay, can't save a JPEG if it's got 3 or 4, or even 2 layers. So PSD file. Let's just open that so you can see what I'm referring to. Okay, so you can see over to the right here I have a background, I have my Fins logo, and I have this box, right? Pretty easy to make a box up in Photoshop. So I can choose my move tool up here. I could move this layer around if I wanted to, but I don't. I could move this box around here. If you press Control T on any layer, you can adjust the size of your borders or whatever you're working on. I don't really want to do that at the moment, but whatever you're working on, Control T, or Edit, Transform, or Free Transform will do the same thing. Control T. You can move this around. Okay, now see how when I just moved that, I've put it way out of perspective, upside down. So you can do that just by holding the mouse around. If you do Control T, hold Shift down, you can move it and it will never lose its perspective. Okay, it won't lose its size, and we'll use that when we're importing the image in a second. So, okay. So what I want to do is choose my middle layer, which is the border, and choose this tool here, which is the Magic Wand tool, and select the inside of the template. Okay. If I was to choose layer 1 and choose Magic Tool, it's going to highlight all this other stuff. So I want to make sure that I've got the right layer selected over to the right, and I've Magic Wanded in the middle. And remember how we did we copied the picture before. Now we want to paste that picture. So the computer has kept that image in memory. It knows that we still want to paste it. So we go up to Edit, and you've got a few different options here for pasting. What I want to do here is paste into. I want to paste into this marquee that I've created. Okay, I don't want to just paste because then it could go over the lines of the border. So I want to paste into. Okay. So there, when I move that around, you'll see because I've pasted it into, when I move it around, I'm not going to go outside the border of my template. Okay, easy. Hopefully, left click, move tool, moving it around. Now if I hit Control T, I've got my free transform. If I hold Shift down and then left click on the corner, I can then make the image bigger. Okay, let go of Shift. Oops, didn't want to let go of Shift then. Because I'll put it out of whack a bit. Let go of the button. I can now move that around at a different size. And when I've got it in the position I want, I click the move tool and it'll ask me, do I want to apply the transformation, and I just hit apply. Okay, and there you go. I've got a nice crisp image inside my own template that I haven't spent hours inking, and I've got that I'm fairly happy with that. So I would probably save that as a PSD template master file for this strip. I would then flatten the layers, so there's flatten image under layer, which means that all those layers over to the right disappear, and I'm just left with one image.